drinking water scheme, Gram Sadak Yojanas, and such other 4 other schemes and all. 51,000 crores of rupees in 1 year for 2007-2008 is unaccounted for. No inquiry is conducted. Everybody knows how it is leaking. No leaks have been plugged. But this is the situation. Can we still keep on asking questions? Can one institution can stop it? No. One police station has not stopped the crime, growth in crime. Shall we close down the police stations? Are we that naive when we want to create an institution which at least creates some element of fear maybe for the first few years? Thereafter Lokpal, Lokayukts will become redundant. Change it. We started with vigilance for the administrative lapses. We started with anti-corruption bureaus, with the policemen handling it. We failed it. Then the ARC said you merge both and create a Lokpal at the center and Lokayukt at the center. Is there a need for that? Do the government think is there a need for that? It is evident from the fact from 68 the first Lokpal bill was presented. Thereafter 8 times the bill was presented. This is the 2010 bill is the 8th bill. That means that shows there is a need for the institution. But what should be the provisions of the institutional power is one in question. Now let us just for a moment, those of us who are not in politics and administration, consider for a moment, whom does this bill affect? You? Me? No. It is only concerning the political bureaucrats, I call it, because those politicians who are in power at the center or at the state and the bureaucrats themselves, who according to me both are together responsible for this problem that we are facing. Now, there is a lot of resistance from these vested parties. That's why it's not coming. I have gone through the Goa Lokpal bill, one of the best bills I can think of it. I was always saying the Karnataka bill was the best bill, but the Goa Lokpal bill is one up on it, but it also has certain deficiency. Some important deficiencies are there. That is, we got to think in terms of you cannot fight corruption without the institution having a power. Goa Lokayukta bill has given that power. But one thing you have not noticed is that the Lokpal of Goa cannot handle corruption cases because under Section 16 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, an investigation under PC Act can be initiated and continued by a police officer not below the rank of a deputy superintendent of police or such other officer notified by the government. So that investigation under the PC Act is by the police only, not by the Lokpals or Lokayukts. Therefore, you must make a provision there which can be very easily done by including the Lokpal and the Lokayukt, which has been done in the General Lokpal Bill. Under Section 36 of the Criminal Procedure Code, you make the Lokpal and the Lokayukt as a superior police officer. There can be no objection from anybody for that. If you are a superior police officer, you have a control to look after the investigation under the PC Act. One thing. Secondly, you got to create a separate police force for effective functioning of the thing. Giving them power both under the PC Act, you don't have to give power under the PC Act. There's a direct judgment of the Supreme Court coming from the Karnataka Rangasamaya versus State of Karnataka, which says clearly that the police officers working in the Lokayukta institution, they do a dual role. While working under the Prevention of Corruption Act, they work as regular police officers and all powers under the CRPC, Police Act and other allied acts. So they act independent of it. If only Karnataka Lokayukta has been made a superior police officer under 36, I could have supervised it, but I can't do that now. Now, if anybody thinks Karnataka Lokayukta has done a wonderful job in the anti-corruption place, the credit goes to the Karnataka police who are working under the Lokayukta. Now, without that institution, you cannot rely upon your local police, because there is some sort of a pressure on them. Now, the same police who are working in the Karnataka Lokayukta Act will after 3 or 4 years go back to the parent department. They are on deputation. You can create a Lokayukta police, but there are certain difficulties. That is, you have to train them, they remain in the institution, they retire in the institution. Their chances of growth is stunted. Therefore, they may not come. Good officers may not come. So how we managed in Karnataka is to see and find, whenever the government sent names, we said, no, thank you, you don't send it, you send a panel of names. I will make inquiries and I'll find out if the panel is good enough, then I'll take one name from that for every post. Otherwise, you send another panel altogether. And, sorry? That is totally illegal. That has all been set aside because he is not a police officer. He was personally doing it. And when I said I won't do it personally, one vernacular newspaper took a SMS poll and 96% said, you get out. We want you to come. The people's desire is catch, hang, as has been said by Mr. Naik. Yes. But I'll answer that question. We can't go by people's desire. We have to go in a system, in a democracy like ours and all. Therefore, one way or other create a small Lokayukta to start with, police say this thing, and you must give the power under, we have say section 15(3). Under that power, empower the Lokayukta to engage the services of various other people. It could be the people in the civil service, civil society. It could be experts in the field, retired doctors. It could be retired engineers to assess the value of work that has been done. It could be retired auditors who can assess the accounting and others. That power has been there. Therefore, we have been doing that. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, in Karnataka Lokayukta, the anti-corruption job that is done is only 10% of the Lokayukta of Karnataka job. 90% is responding to the problems of the people who are suffering because of the maladministration. There is so much of maladministration lower from the lowest line right to the top for various considerations. It may not be purely bribery, but it could be due to political consideration, it could be due to various other reasons, but the fact remains people do suffer. They want a change. If Anna Hazare got such support, that too from a class who have never come down to the street after Indian independence, not even during Jayaprakash Narayan's time, it's because in most of the ordinary people there is a fire burning against corruption. He was able to channelize it. It's like the paid piper. They all went behind him. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what the civil society should understand. Now, before coming to, little more time I'll take, going to the Lokpal bill in which I participated, Mr. Naik questioned my participation in it and all. Well, if you are as committed as I am to a cause like this, I think I wouldn't mind sitting even with the ministers. Neither the ministers are untouchables to me, nor I am untouchable to the ministers. It did happen at one point of time at the stage of negotiation that the government representative made a very stupid statement by saying, if any ABC is going to be in the committee, then the ministers will not be in that committee. Our bureaucrats, it will insult to the bureaucrats also. They are something different from this. Anyway, then that was rejected. They said, all right, if you are such this thing untouchables, we will not come and all. Then the pressure here was increasing. Annaji was on fast. The number was doubling every day. Then they said, all right, we'll meet. You have a committee of 5 and you have a committee of 5 and all. The minister said, okay, we will come and all. But then they said it will be a committee without any statutory recognition, not power, recognition. That Annaji said, no, you appoint the committee under a notification. We don't want any statutory power. That was delayed by another day. The number increased more and more in different places. Then IB input must have been there with the government, and government must have realized where exactly they were heading at and all. Therefore, they agreed to that also. And the first meeting was held Saturday before last. It was a very cordial meeting. Now, please try and understand, this bill is not creating a monster. This bill is not creating a dictator. This bill is not creating a person who is all-powerful. No. Of course, you people may not agree with the number of people. There are suggested 10 Lokpals and 1 chief Lokpal. The reason behind it is they wanted the bureaucrats to be brought in. They are not in there now. Now the bill is available, or the jurisdiction of the Lokpal is only against members of parliament, ministers, and they are also included Prime Minister under certain circumstances, or excluding certain circumstances. This will never work. Because today, both maladministration and corruption are done jointly by the bureaucrats and the political bosses. With respect, for those of you who are present, I even otherwise have high regard for you people, that I call them conjoined twins. One can't survive without the other. There can be no corruption whatsoever if the political boss says, I don't want this to happen. There can be no corruption today if the secretary says, sir, I'm not going to sign this file. At the most, the minister can use his influence and transfer him to Timbuktu. Well, that is his part of the service condition. Not to join hands and say, okay, I'll say. This is where the problem is. Now, a bill is created after 40 plus years only for member of parliament, and that too responsible. I may be an abettor. You proceed against him first, then bring me if you want. But he is not the other man. Therefore, we have recommended that they should be brought in. Now, we said we have also discussed, of course, when we bring bureaucrats of all in central government, they are there from Himalayas to Kanyakumari, Assam to Gujarat. Yes, the number is huge, but just try and understand some of the problems the rural people, the poor people are facing. Take a postman. He's a central government employee. All these schemes which give pension, because that person is incapable of earning the money for various things, maybe old age, maybe they have included widows in Karnataka, maybe because of the fact of the social handicap they have and all. Then handicapped persons themselves. Now, to get that certificate, it's next to impossible, because you have to go from the doctor, the panel of doctor, to revenue department to prove you are BPL card below poverty line person, then to the social welfare department to get the card, then you have to go to the treasury department to arrange that the postman will deliver it to you. When monthly pension comes, he demands 10% of that. How can he pay that from out of that money every month? If he doesn't pay, addressee not found at the time of delivery, it goes back. Now, who can he complain to? He can't complain to the Lokayukta. They come to us at what stage? When they don't get their certificate. Because those people who don't give the certificate are Karnataka government employees. We send our officers along with them and say, tell us, how is he not not entitled to? There are cases where widows went there to ask for pension. What is the proof you are not remarried? Negative is sought to be proved by these people. We overcome all that. In the last about 4.5 plus years, we must have got at least about 3,000 to 4,000 people, which is a very small figure compared to the number that they are there. But at least to those people we have rendered help. And these are the things that is possible if we have a proactive Lokayukta. Our recommendations also are not compulsorily acceptable, as is in Goa situation. But I have some advice to whosoever is coming here as Lokayukta. Please keep your contact with the media. Every time you send a report to the government, send a copy to the press. Let the people of Goa know such a recommendation has gone and nothing has happened. This is the only way. You may call it a publicity stunt. You may call it anything. But for me, it's entirely a different thing. It has its own repercussions. Now, certain other clarifications were sought. There is a doubt about people not filing FIRs because they are afraid. Yes. But if the Lokayukta has the power through the police to investigate, now Karnataka Lokayukta can, on any information received, register a case. All Lokayukta offices have been declared as police station under section 2K of the Criminal Procedure Code. Now, they are not only investigating Prevention of Corruption Act. They have the power to investigate other offences which comes in the course of investigation of a PC Act. And they won't go register a murder case, they won't go register a theft, we have done it and all, another case, but as a part of the investigation of a corruption case. We were recently investigating a minister's case in which we found certain documents were forged. Now, forgery is not an offence under the PC Act. It's an offence under the IPC. So we have, Lokayukta police have included it and they have filed an FIR on that basis and all. So there are very ways in which you can utilize the services of the thing. And as I said, the act is pretty good, but keep these certain things in mind, that how do you empower your Lokayukta and what powers you give to him to select the people that he must have. He must have a helping hand in giving an engineering department, not a big one, 2, 3 people. As you said about the quality of work. Then you must have an auditing department, because where money is siphoned out, where crores of rupees is given to the panchayat, nothing has been done. Then we have to have other teams also. For that, what the government has done is, we will not give you other teams. Under section 15(3), as and when you want any assistance of anybody, you utilize this thing. We'll pay them their expenses, no salary to be paid. So whenever a hospital mismanagement comes, complaint when the hospital comes and all, then we requisition the help of normally retired people, because they have the free time to go and some commitment is there. So their services are utilized and all. Like that, very many fields are there suddenly that come in. I can't give you examples straight away and all, but we do that. That's why I said in Karnataka Lokayukta Act, first of all, you should know the background of that act. This act was enacted in 1984. When late Ramakrishna Hegde came to Karnataka politics, he was in the Congress party, then he came to Janata party, but the Congress never lost its foothold even in 77 in Karnataka. So when in 83, he came out with the slogan, I will give you a value-based politics. And he was elected as the chief minister. And the first thing he did was in the value-based politics was to introduce, resurrect this first ARC report. Somebody must have advised him and all, and created a Lokayukta institution and told the public, look here, now there is anybody and everybody to look after this thing. He is all powerful. He had so moto power, but within 6 months he took away the so moto power. Anyway, that is after he got elected and all. But the enactment remained there. That is the this thing, you know. Now I found that your bill is still lingering in Delhi, shuttling between various departments, law department, other departments, and everything, because you are president. Karnataka Lokayukta Act was bill was drafted in '84. The House approved it, and it was sent to President. 1 year later, it came back. In '86, it became an act. Same difficulty is there. We have included the bureaucrats there. We have all other provisions which you have included. Right to Information Act, I don't think there will be conflict, because there is a provision under the Right to Information Act. If the matter is subject to an investigation, you need not give that. But there should be somebody in Delhi to tell them. Otherwise, they will take their own decision. You can always explain the situation, and if you find that particular thing is stuck there only because of that, then you delete that bill. Let a Lokpal, a Lokayukt be created in Goa. That is more important. Not all the powers are not that important. If somebody is playing a game in Delhi, then you go ahead with your bill minus that particular provision. They can't say the entire act is repugnant to the Central Act. We have a section 82B. There it says, if any investigation is pending before the Lokayukta, it cannot be transferred to any other investigating body without the prior consent of the Lokayukta. Recently, I was investigating a complaint against the Chief Minister. The government immediately appointed a Commission of Inquiry under Commission of Inquiry Act of 52. And thereafter said, Mr. Hegde, please give all the papers to the new commission. I said, sorry. Under 82B, you have not taken my permission. I will not. Then it was pleaded on behalf of the government. No, the Commission of Inquiry Act is a 52 of central enactment. Ours is a state enactment, so central enactment prevails. I said that is not possible, because we have taken permission, prior assent of the President. Therefore, any repugnancy between the Central Act and this Act, in that state act alone prevails. Of course, the matter is now, they didn't want me to continue the inquiry, they have gone to the court, it is pending in the court. But the fact is, once the presidential assent is obtained, the question of repugnancy does not arise. And repugnancy is under the RTI Act, under the Commission of Inquiry Act, all can be sorted out. And if it is not sorted out, you have waited from 2006 to 2011. Your bill is pickled enough. It has absorbed all the salt. Let us now eat it and taste the fruit of it and all. It is an absolute necessity, and I don't think one question is being asked about Lokpal, Jan Lokpal bill. Are you trying to hijack the parliamentary system? Who are you to draft a bill? Who are you to tell the parliament which bill should be taken? Well, it was explained how bills are drafted. I have no doubt about it. But being a voter who was having voted for a representative who ultimately goes there, I have every right to tell that person what are my views about that particular bill. But unfortunately, I can't get this person at all. He's not available to me until the next election. In that situation, what do I do? All these years, nobody did anything. This year, in February, a group of people thought this Sarkari Lokpal bill is only a Sarkari bill. Therefore, we'll go to the Sarkar, explain it to the Sarkar. what is our view in the matter? Please have a discussion. We want only a discussion. We are not saying this bill will be, put the rubber stamp of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. No. We want somebody to understand. And if you don't want to choose any, agree with any one of these clauses, fair enough. You go ahead with yours, we'll tell the public this is our clause, that is their clause. We'll prepare a tabular form and give it to the public. And next then what happens? You say it is a democratic setting, it's a participatory democracy. On your behalf, your member goes and participates. Let me give you one example. It's been going on for years together. But the latest example, latest means it's the most glaring example. After that has also happened. On 23rd of December 2008, 17 bills were passed in 12 minutes without discussion in the House. This is, our representatives are there to take care of us. And we are proud to say Parliament is the best form of government where everybody's views will be considered and it will be taken note of. That representative is not available to me here. He is not available there also for me. Now while saying that, let me emphasize on one thing. I personally feel this 23rd of December 2008 could be, let me tell you, could be a camouflaged way of sabotaging 2G case. There was a bill out of 17 bills which is prevention of amendment to Prevention of Corruption Act. 3 sections were sought to be removed from that section, not to strengthen the bill, but to weaken the bill. The first section was, it was a proviso, which said if a public servant is required to give his statement of assets and liabilities to the superior officer under his service rules, and if the investigating agency finds something more, then the burden was on the officer to prove how and where and what source he got the money from. That proviso was sought to be removed. Now the burden is on the investigating agency. How will they prove it? You see, disproportionate asset is something which is accumulation of money which is illegally got from by the way of bribe or something. Now then you have to prove if it is about 2 crores, where did he get how much? Who gave it? For what purpose? It's physically impossible to prove. Okay, that is taken away. Next is very important under 13(1). There is a provision which generally, it's not exact the verbatim I'm saying, if a public servant knowingly is a party to parting away the property of the state to a third party by which the state loses and the third party illegally gains money, then that public servant is guilty of corruption as defined under this act. Take 2G now. A public servant, both minister and the secretary, have parted away 2G, which is the property of the state, for a value which is far less than the actual market value. If you now take away this section from the Prevention of Corruption Act, how will Raja be liable? Because there is no other section. He may be liable for other things. How will he be liable? Because this section makes it a corruption. The third is, most unwanted section in the Prevention of Corruption Act is section 19, seeking corruption, consent, sanction of the government before prosecuting. Somebody said earlier in the day that justified sanction by saying something I don't remember now to capitulate. It is, as stated by the Supreme Court in 4 judgments of 4 chief ministers, Pratap Singh Badal, Rajendra Singh Battal, Karunakaran, Lalu Yadav, where it was argued that a sanction is necessary to prosecute them, where there was no sanction taken. A three-judge bench of the Supreme Court has said that under Prevention of Corruption Act, it is not the same as 197 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Here there are only two offences so far as the public servant is concerned. One is receiving bribe, one is amassing wealth beyond the known source of income, what is called the disproportionate asset case. Here, none of these two offences have anything to do with the official discharge of duties. Sanction is necessary only when you are committing an offence in the official discharge of the duties. Therefore, they use the word sanction is automatic under every PC investigation case. But state is not accepting it. They say so long as section 19 is in the statute book, you must take it. Now, who has to challenge it? Normally, it is the people who are guilty of corruption alone go to the court. They don't challenge 19, they rely upon 19. And the courts normally do not strike down acts which are not challenged. Now, of course, in Karnataka High Court, Transparency International has straight away filed a writ petition under 226 saying this section is ultra vires of the Constitution. One other reason given is by the 1988 amendment, they have included the bribe giver also as an accused. Now take a transaction in which many of you are not public servants here, give bribe to me, I am a public servant, and both of us are caught. To take you to the court, there is no sanction necessary. You are not a public servant. To take me to the court, it's necessary. Governor should give this thing. I go to his house quite often when he calls me for ceremonial dinners. So I know him pretty well. He'll never give a sanction against me. So, one person in the same transaction can be tried and punished. The other person is not even tried. So, according to me, on the face of it, it is discriminatory and that section should go. All this should be looked into holistically and see what is that is necessary in this thing. Only one last point I'll make. That is, I have read your Goa Act. You have a similar provision like the Karnataka Act 22. You have made it mandatory for all elected representatives of the House to file their assets and liabilities on or before 30th of June. And if he fails to give it, a report will be sent to the governor. And the governor, at the same time, 3 months' time should be given. 2 months' time should be given. If he doesn't, then it will be published in the newspaper. With great respect to these political elected people, let me tell you, their name appearing is a great thing for them in the paper for whatever purpose it is. Please note, there are two sections in the Indian Penal Code, section 176, section 177. The section says, if any person, the word is any person, is required by under a law to give any information to a public servant and fails to do so in the manner and the time prescribed therein, then he shall be liable for not giving belated this thing 1 month imprisonment. If he gives a false statement, then under section 177 for 6 months imprisonment. I have invoked, though it is not in the Karnataka Act, thinking that it is applicable ipso facto to any person. To give me information to give to a public servant. I am a public servant. In the manner prescribed. It's not done in the manner prescribed. Therefore, I have invoked 176 in the case of delay, where others have filed that he has shown false statement. I have held an inquiry, and prima facie I have asked my registrar to file a complaint in the court. So such things should be done, and even that, I think, to be on the safer side, should be included in your section. That's all I have for the present. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Respected retired Justice Hegde, respected Honorable Speaker, and all other dignitaries here. In fact, it was nice listening to all of you. In fact, the law is, we are dealing with law, and the law is divided between civil law and criminal law. The criminal law is always there to back the civil law. And when it comes to the criminal law, it's about implementing the law, that is prosecution. Many laws are there in India. Our constitution is good, it's a guideline. Many laws are being made, but if the laws are made without power, then we tend to lose prosecution. And why prosecution should be there? In fact, for that matter, prosecution brings punishment. And punishment was not given to hurt anybody. Punishment was meant for correction, with the exception of the death penalty, which today under United Nations there is a question mark whether death penalty should be given. But punishment was rightly given for correction in the civic society and all segments of the governance. So without prosecution, how can any law function? You can make hundreds of laws. Sir, after Mr. Kejriwala came here and went, my NGO, that Asha, we had 20 RTI programs right around Goa. 20.